how did the journey start? എപ്പോഴാണ് relationship with music തുടങ്ങിയത്?
Several train journeys. Because I used to play in my Walkman.
നമ്മളെ പാട്ടിലാക്കുന്നതാണ് പാട്ട്.
The motive plays, you know. So for a film, a motive plays. You know, there will be variations of the motive, but it will come back to the motive. So you might like the same notes if I repeat like ta ta pa 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 pa. You might like it more than me singing sa sa re re ma ga ne da. You might like it more. The actual learning happens with a delay because you should have the time to experience the learning. A composition should not be forced. It should happen. You should not try to make a composition. The very definition of raga is ranjayati iti ragaha. That means which colors is a raga. Which colors your emotions. That is a raga.
I would love to start with how I have a personal connection with you. Every day from the last 2 years, when I wake up in the morning, I wake up to Sri Valsam. My mom loves that song so much that when I told her that this opportunity could happen, she had tears in her eyes because that song really has touched my entire family's heart. And it refreshes and cleans the energy every morning. So it's played in big speakers in the house, the first thing. So, first of all, I actually wanted to know about the energy that you carry. The calm presence, you know, the relaxed, humble, calm energy. Is there a side to this? Is there a meditation practice or is there something that you do?
Don't you see the sun, the light, the brightness, the energy it carries? Don't we see the moonlight, so beautiful, the rivers flowing, the fragrance of the flowers, anything in nature is beautiful. So the minds of human beings also need to be beautiful. So how do you do it?
That's the question here.
I do it with music. Because music is essentially, in my experience, the infinite bliss. And that takes us to God, or might be music itself is God. Music brings Andarthwani, the sound from the inner self. Andarthwani.
Right.
And that Thwani lights up the soul.
Yeah.
And so music spreads light into your soul as well. And then it becomes Andar Jyoti. So the Andar Thwani from the music lights up your soul, becomes Andar Jyoti. And that brings you to Andaranga,
Oh,
inside attribute.
right.
So it's about, when you talk about Andaranga, it's about three things. That is concentration, meditation, and contemplation. So if you concentrate in music, if you meditate in music, if you contemplate as much as you can, dwell deeper and deeper, then you can perhaps unlock the eternal truth behind existence.
Paramartham.
Artham.
Paramartham.
And I believe in Advaita.
Advaita Vedanta.
Yeah, it is oneness. You and me are the same.
Yeah. So, Sangeeta sadhana is also called sadhana. Even meditation, locally everybody knows that we call it sadhana only. So usually when we do the practice, any classical or other form of practice, it takes us into a meditative state. And I think you have also talked about the ecstasy of composition of music, or the ecstasy, the joy of creating music. Um, what's exactly happening here? Because you have decades of experience. What's exactly happening the inside?
What I've come across or experienced is that the composition is not yours. So when you say the music is composed by M. Jayachandran,
Mm.
spiritually it doesn't mean that I have composed it. It is only that I have been a medium of expression. And the thoughts are not mine, the sparks are not mine. Those sparks have come from somewhere. And I'm lucky that I am the chosen medium of expression to transmit those sparks, through the medium of expression that I am. So the thoughts are not mine. So I cannot take ownership of my composition. For that matter, any man, any human being cannot say that he's composed something, because it comes from somewhere. And if we call the source as God, then of course it comes from there. That is what I believe. From Paramatma, if that sparks, those sparks are coming from Paramatma, I'm lucky that I am the chosen medium of expression for a particular pattern of notes being arranged as melodies, or as foot tapping songs, or some other ethnic songs, or any songs of any genre that you can imagine about. So that's the way it comes.
So what is your process like? How does this happen?
It is about contemplation. When you are given a particular song situation, you go into it. You allow yourself to merge into it. That is not forced. That has to happen. A composition should not be forced. It should happen. You should not try to make a composition. That is what I found. So whenever I get these thoughts, when I go into the song situation in the film, the characters, how they would be thinking, and their mindset, emotions, or otherwise even for performance like dance numbers, how things will be, how that's going to be filmed, and what is the aspect of that song in the film. With all these considerations, when I go in deeper and deeper, then I get a catch. And that catch is a spark. And from the spark, I start. So it is not about being with the keyboard or being with the harmonium or any other catalyst to take you to that composition.
It is completely you.
You are the catalyst. And dwelling deeper, meditating, gives you the extra energy to reach there. All these sound a bit abstract to you.
No, it's absolutely precise. That's actually why I was about to ask the next question, which is, I have come across a concept of dharana, which is contemplation about a single subject, keeping all distractions aside. And you have also talked about, I think, something that really struck a chord with me, that I dream my music and then I make my dreams come true. So is this that imaginative process of contemplation, where you contemplate on one thing, keeping all things aside, and then you weave that into instruments?
Exactly.
And thing. So I had a question here, which is, when you go through the soundtracks, the background music, or of different movies, naturally the question that one has is the requirement of the production team of the movie, the things that audience would like, and each audience is different from each movie, and also the construction of the song from your side. These three sometimes can be really chaotic, no? Like they would be completely three different things. How do you marry that into a process?
Three totally different things can exist together in music. That is one, the spiritual element, as I described it. The second one, as far as films are concerned, is the commercial point of view for the audience.
Right. That's what I was. Yeah.
Before you come to that, it is about the director's perspective, the script writer's perspective,
Yeah.
the producer's perspective. So altogether, as you said, it might become complex at times. But with experience, you know how to manage it. And that is how a film music composer is born. There is a transition from a musician to a film music composer. A film musician is different from other musicians. They have to fight all of these.
Right.
I've been saying time and again that the director is the captain of the ship. And everything needs to go under his guidance and his flight of imagination. So the music for the film needs to be resonant with what he has in mind. So the music composer and the director have to find the resonance. That is most important. If that resonance doesn't happen, things can go the other way.
Right.
So it's about finding resonance. So you talk to the director as music composer, you get all the ideas, and you have your original ideas as well on how to go. And now your ideas can merge with the director's ideas, or sometimes can reflect or refract. And then again, the discussion needs to go on till you find a common ground. From where you can
Then
begin.
you construct from there. Nice. So I love this one line that you had mentioned in an interview. നമ്മളെ പാട്ടിലാക്കുന്നതാണ് പാട്ട്. I would love to know more about the story behind this line.
I was talking to my guru, Devarajan Master, once. And I was asking him, what is the definition for a song? Then he said this. നമ്മളെ പാട്ടിലാക്കുന്നതാണ് പാട്ട്. As if you cannot get away from the song anytime. You know, the song has to circulate in your system.
Oh, it lives through you in your life.
It actually lives in you.
In you.
Yeah.
Right.
So adana paattilakkuka. The meaning of that particular phrase is this one.
Right.
You live in that song.
And some songs really, that's why we call them evergreen, because they just live through you for...
Live through.
Right.
And you would even remember some of the moments of your life, your journey in life, if you hear some songs. For me, that song, Unnigale Oru Katha Parayam, composed by the great Jayachandran.
Yeah.
That reminds me of several train journeys. Because I used to play in my Walkman
Yeah.
this song all along. And so it always reminds me of those days and the journey
Yeah.
and the turbulence of those days.
The ups and downs.
The ups and downs, the happiness, the creative space I had,
Right.
and the responsibilities I had, even the responsibilities I had, everything.
So how did the journey start? Like, I actually wanted to ask you a specific question, which is, at what point did your relationship with music start?
My father, Achan, was a big admirer of Carnatic classical music. And at the same time, my mother used to love more cinematic music and things like light music and all that. So we had this ambience of music. When I was just 3 or 4, my amma used to say that when they played Chembai's Vadabi Ganapathim on the record, the vinyl record, I was singing along. That was what she said, she told me. That was a point of time when they thought that their son had some talent, might be in music. So why not we put him with a guru to learn music, you know. And my brother, my elder brother, he's 8 years elder to me. And he has always been like a father figure to me. And he was the one who was actually guiding me into music. And this ambience at home, that brought me up in music. I had the great fortune to learn under Mullamodu Bhagavathar, Harihara sir. He was the one who taught me the Saptaswaras and the basics of music. And at the same time, the spirituality connected with music as well. And after that, I learned with Perumbavoor G. Ravindranath sir. And after that, with my father's cousin, Neyattingara Mohanajandran sir.
Right.
The journey, my journey began.
Yeah.
I would always feel that knowledge is experience. Anything else is only information. So with experience only, the real knowledge comes. So when you learn, we are talking about meta learning and all that. When you learn, the actual learning happens with a delay, because you should have the time to experience the learning. So you have learned something, you have got some information, but when you experience the information, then only the actual learning starts.
Oh.
So you know about Saregama Padani?
Right.
Sa is called Shadjam. Why Sa is called Shadjam? Is because it gives birth to 6 swaras. Shat Jam.
Oh.
Like that. So Rigamapa Dani comes from Sa. So it's called Shadjam. The father of 6 swaras. Rigamapa Dani. And the Panjamam is the 5th note from Sa.
Yeah.
That's why it's called Panjamam. 5th.
Oh.
Panjamam is the 5th. So all these things, not only about the nomenclature, but about the intrinsic and extrinsic aspects of swaras and their emotions and their bhavas and their playfulness, their sadness, everything. When experienced, you become a student of music. Only then you become a student of music. Otherwise, you have information. And you know what this is about, your teacher. I always found there is a big difference between a teacher and a guru. The teacher instructs, but the guru constructs. There's a big difference.
How constructs in the?
The teacher instructs, gives you information, asks you to do this, that. That's it. But the guru constructs you, constructs the musician.
Oh. Uru, like where to place. Okay.
Where to place each block and block by block. The architect of you, the musician, is your guru. And without the blessings of guru, there is no question of this journey. So once I got this opportunity to listen to Ustad Rashid Khan in Trivandrum. And after the concert, there was a question and answer session. So I wanted to ask him, because I think that day he sang Mal counts or so. And when he sang the Shadjam, the male Shadjam, you know, and it was so resonant with the Tampura that somehow my eyes got welled up. So I was asking him, what is the secret? What is the practice mode behind this resonance? All of a sudden came the answer. He said, it is just Guru's blessings, nothing else. So that is where Guru is in our tradition, in our music, in our journey, in our potential for self-realization. What counts, what really counts is Guru's blessings. So I've been very fortunate to have great Gurus who have constructed me and made me sit before Bharat.
Sir.
Bhava, Raga, Tala. That is Bharat.
Right. I when I found out that, I was also very happy. Sir, can I ask you in that case a question my guru asked me to ask you? My ma'am, two actually, one Hindustani, one other. So I called both of them and I took blessings and I said, I'm meeting somebody very great. I would love to know. So they said that we have a rich tradition of Hindustani Carnatic music in India. Very rich tradition. Like in the conversation, she was telling me that the veena, right, the head of the veena, the entire bridge that is, it is constructed in such a way to imagine a person's head and a spine. And Saraswati is playing a spine. And then we were talking about the Saregama Padanis and how all of them are devas. And there's a whole tradition and how it comes from Samaveda. So the question was that along the way, the taste of youth is changing. This is something that everybody is battling with, is what they said. The taste of youth is changing and they're slowly moving away towards rap or more Western influence. And you're somebody who embraces both sides. So how do we bridge this gap if we could possibly? What would be a roadmap?
The first point might be, the first destination should always be updation. Hearing all sorts of music from all around the world keeps you updated.
Right.
So hearing music is the first and foremost thing for updation. So that is what I do most of the time. I don't take time to hear my songs. Once I master and give it to the production, then I leave it at that. And I keep hearing all sorts of music, all genres, Might be certain genres I won't like, basically, because of my persona. Even that I would hear. Sometimes forcibly, like metal and all that. Not my cup of tea, but I do hear a lot. Just because I want to know and embrace that music.
Like exposure.
To understand what it is. What is the difference with the other genres of music?
Okay.
How we can combine might be certain other genres. If I want to do metal plus orchestra, how?
Reverse engineering and then understanding.
How we can do that.
Okay.
How to amalgamate. So that takes time. And you need the time. And when you're free, totally free from other things, a musician needs to go into this, especially a music composer, a film score composer needs to go into all this. Because you really don't know when somebody is going to ask you to compose music in that particular genre.
Right. Like a beautiful example would be Sufim Sujadev, I would say. Oh my God, when I saw that movie, Bhayangra, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. And the music in that is beautiful. Are there some stories there of what inspired the track and like the sounds of,
I always loved Sufi music. Always loved. And at certain point of time, I used to hear only Sufi songs for some time. And I used to love Qawwali also. Not used to, even now I love Qawwali. And I love composing in that particular genre of Sufi. And I was waiting for a very, very long time. But the opportunities were not coming my way. And when certain other music composers compose some beautiful songs, I would, even at that point of time, I would think, sometimes, someday, I would also get an opportunity to do this.
Right.
And then Sufi and Sujata happened. And that was like, as I said earlier, the flight of imagination. I took the flight, I was totally into it. And for months, I was in it. Months together, I was in it, with the songs and the background score. Especially the background score, where we had an Arabic pattern going.
Right, yeah.
At the same time, it had spiritual icing on the cake.
Right.
And things like that.
There's a cry, there's a prayer in the
prayer,
track.
the cry.
Yeah, and there's folk parts to it.
Yeah.
Mixing of these different sounds. When you are looking for these sounds, do you get them as an inspiration, or do you see them that, like this will be great?
You have to have the concept of the whole. The holistic process, you have to know about it. How the music is created and how it is going to be wholesome. And then you can come up with the ingredients.
Right.
What all will come together to form the whole. So it is about, like in quantum physics, quanta that matters.
Right.
The small particles that matter. And these particles come together to give you some very beautiful music. And when you hear the music, you won't even know that these particles are there inside. And they are actually creating this music.
And one piece changes, the whole changes again. One piece changes, the whole changes again. Wow.
It's about a theme. Even in symphony orchestra, if you can see, there is something which is called 1-2-3 method. That is, you have a theme, music theme, a phrase of a theme. You begin with the phrase of the theme. Then the second one is a variation of the theme. And third is what is called the flight of imagination, where you get along to some other frontier and then come back to the theme. So the theme is called motif as well.
Motif.
The motif plays, So for a film, a motif plays. There will be variations of the motif, but it will come back to the motif with the central character. In Sufi Sujata, it is Sujata,
Right.
her character,
Yeah.
her destination, her journey, her emotions, her ecstasy, her pains. So everything is symbolized and characterized with the music motif. And we have an exposition of the theme, then the flight of imagination, I said, with certain sequences in the film, and then come back to what Sufi and Sujata are all about.
So I think a very beautiful thing that I had heard about music making was something to do with one song can make you live a lifetime of somebody's life. And you had said something along those lines. I had also seen that a song is a thought that you feel. Right? So along these lines, I think then song also can make a very strong social impact.
Yes.
It can change everything. It can change a lot of things, bring a lot of change, physical change in society. So, and also I also know that you are inspired from Elton John, and I heard a couple of tracks, and he talks about real life experiences, and those real life experiences are then made into a song and presented. So, do you feel that Indian music industry, do we need to work more towards social impact? I mean, in general, about any musician, indie musician, musicians in general, working towards social impact, and have you seen some cases where that happened and there was a huge change that was brought?
My guru, MBS sir, used to say, let's sing together. So there is a big social impact in that. Let's sing together. That means you and me, we can sing together, and we should sing together. It doesn't matter if you're very talented or your talent is not so much. Whoever you are, whatever you are, as human beings, we need to sing together.
Wow.
That's a very beautiful concept. And that is the social impact that any type of music should be able to bring about in a society.
Right.
So when we sing together, there is no partition.
There's no difference.
Yeah, no difference, no distinction. And that means the unity in diversity can merge to oneness. So in the Indian concept, it is all about let us sing together. And music makes you sing together and be together and ultimately take you to peace. That is the biggest impact music can make to this society. And musicians should strive to reach that target, the goal, the ultimate goal.
So music leads to Advaita. Music leads to the state where everybody feels oneness.
Yeah, oneness.
In the same room.
Whether it be film music or folk music or classical music of any type of music, it should lead to oneness. And for that, you have to begin appreciating other musicians. Each musician should appreciate other musicians and their creativity and their compositions. You don't find theirs to be different from yours. It is all same. Coming from the same and going to the same. And for the society, it brings beautiful peace and resonance.
And you had said this, reading out the actual Sanskrit ways, quoting it, that as a composer, as a musician, you're a receiver and a transmitter and an instrument. So in this context, what does this mean?
So when we say God is music or music is God, Melpatur says Bhagavan is Sandranandava Bodhatmakam. Sandram, dense, ever dense. Anandam, ecstasy. There is no word for Anandam in English. Ecstasy is not Anandam. Anandam is something beyond.
Oh.
So that ever dense Anandam and the Bodham inside, the inner attribute, that is Bhagavan. So that's a lot of things together. That means Bhagavan is infinity.
Yeah.
So I've always been an ardent follower of Narayaniyam. Agre pashyami tejo nipitatara kala yavali lophaniyam piyushaplavitoham. I bath in that nectar seeing you. Piyushaplavitoham. Tadanu tadutare divya kaishora vesham. I see Bhagavan in his adolescence. Parama sukharasa swada romanjitangai ravidam Narada there. I see Narada and other sages also there. And also Sundari Mandalaischa, all the gopikas with Bhagavan. So that is Melpatur's darshanam of the Lord. And Guruvayur is the place which refills me with all the energy to exist and makes me understand the meaning of existence. And that is Sandra Anandava Bodhatmakam. So if you can connect with music, then Sandra Anandava Bodhatmakam is music also. So it is very deep, very, very deep. Sandram, Sandranandam. The Bodha of Sandranandam.
Dense consciousness.
Yeah, very dense consciousness. That is music. Ultimately, beyond all the commercial aspects and whatever commercial things we are doing, music as a whole, music in its righteous perspective is Sandranandava Bodhatmakam, in my viewpoint.
So you have talked about dedication as the central aspect in moving forward. dedication, in my experience, also develops devotion, high amount of devotion. So I might have experienced that nowadays dedication is, so what do you have to see to somebody who wants it quick, wants it fast, like wants to get to a higher level fast and is not ready to put in the time or dedication? What has been your, because I think quite honestly I can sense that devotion, that, so does that develop over rigorous dedication again and again, dedicating yourself to the process?
Dedication is nothing else but devotion to music. If you are dedicated, that means you are devoted. And vice versa. This goes hand in hand. So dedication is a must as far as I am concerned for any artist. Whether he's a painter or a musician, or it is for any artist, dedication. The world is full of distractions, Anytime you can get distracted and go away from the center of gravity, that is music. For any musician, the center of gravity is music. You be in music, you're okay. You're not in music, then you're being thrown away. The gravity goes off. So when you are thrown away, you are far and far away from music. These distractions really throw you away. So don't get into distractions. That is fundamentally very important. So the newer generation, I always think they should apply themselves. The newer generation, I always think they should not get distracted. They should be in music. Be devoted to music. And that brings in dedication. And that only can take you forward. As far as music composition is concerned, your first music composition, you'll feel very good, Oh, I made a composition. You make the 10th composition, it'll sound like the first one. Make the 11th also like the first one. The 100th one also like the first one. Why? Because you haven't gone into, you haven't tried to be versatile. If you want to be versatile, you have to be devoted. You have to keep learning. Your learning should not end. And with the modern programming, music programming process and all that, you have so many VSTs and all that, programming on Logic or other software. Any key you press on the keyboard, you can hear a beautiful sound.
Yeah.
So you will be alert to it, those sounds. And then you think that you don't really need to learn music. You just have these sounds, do something with the sounds, and then you can build music. That is what is going on.
Yeah.
That is not bad. In the world that we are presenting ourselves to the exposure. For the exposure, that is nice. But as musician, in my viewpoint, solely my viewpoint, it is about applying yourself to music and then coming with these sounds and taking them into your music and making your music sound beautiful.
എൻ്റെ മാം എന്നോട് പറഞ്ഞത്, ഇന്നത്തെ കാലത്ത് ഭരത്, ഞാൻ പഠിച്ച സമയത്ത് ഷീ യൂസ് ടു സിംഗ് ഇൻ ഓൾ ഇന്ത്യ റേഡിയോ. സോ ഷീ സെഡ്, ഭരത്, ഞാൻ പഠിച്ച സമയത്ത് 8 വർഷം എടുത്തു ആദ്യമായിട്ട് ടു പ്രസൻറ്റ് ദ മ്യൂസിക്. പക്ഷേ ഇന്നത്തെ കാലത്ത് മിക്ക കുട്ടികളും എൻ്റെ അടുത്ത് പഠിക്കാൻ വരുന്നവർ അവർ പറയുന്നത് 1 വർഷം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ 2 വർഷം, ദാറ്റ് ഇസ് എ മാക്സിമം. അപ്പം തന്നെ പേരൻറ്റ്സ് പുട്ട് പ്രഷർ, ദേ നീഡ് ദിസ്, ദേ നീഡ് ദാറ്റ്. എവറിബഡി കീപ്സ് ഡിഫറെൻറ്റ് ഗോൾസ് വിത്ത് മ്യൂസിക്. ഞാനത്, ആൻഡ് ഐ എം ഓൾസോ എൻ enthusiast, ഐ എം ഓൾസോ ലേണിംഗ്. So according to you, in the last few decades, what do you think is a value that you can influence the younger generation towards? That, hey, see, this is here. നിങ്ങൾ ഇത് മിസ് ചെയ്യുവാണ് if you're not dedicated, if you're not devoted, if you're distracted. What is that makes really that journey rich?
I thought you will really lose that music which takes you to oneness if you are not dedicated. if you are not focused, if you don't want to learn, then that happens. You're scattered. Scattered. You have this, you have this, you have that. All scattered around. Nothing focused and nothing brings in the oneness, the togetherness. So I always advocate that learning music is very important. Learning.
And learning for a lifetime in that context.
Learning for a lifetime, yes. Never ending the learning process.
So
It's a never ending learning process. That is music.
Since we are going into spirituality and since we are talking about the deeper aspect, I was fascinated by the concept of having an unstruck sound. The struck sound is on the instrument or on the hand, but an unstruck sound. Is that the deeper ecstasy or is that this deeper?
Both can take you there. Ahatam or anahatam. Struck or not struck can take you there for sure. But the devotion should be there. Without devotion, you can't reach there.
And dedication builds devotion. And if you have devotion, you have dedication.
Yeah.
It's a vice versa. Sir, I face this thing that many people face is also when you're starting out on the journey. Nammala voice box mottamayitte develop cheyyatilla. So there are a lot of people, youngsters of our country who are really passionate and who have it, but they start doubting themselves along the way. Because they start thinking, chelappam enikku aa kazhivilla. Maybe I don't have this, somebody else has it. So the ability required to practice for a longer stretch is not there because the voice box is not developed. And now it's a catch-22 because they're not ready to go into it because they self-doubt. Right? So are there any tips you would like to give out to people on how probably they can develop the voice box in a better manner?
Yeah, it can be a slow and steady process. Don't increase the pace unnecessarily. Step by step. Those steps can be stepping stones to success. But if you want to journey in a very lively pace, that'll be difficult. That won't take you anywhere. So that's very important. So take a slow process. It'll take time. Then you need patience.
Right.
Without patience, you cannot bring in dedication. You can't have devotion without patience. So patience is a foremost thing for any process to progress. So in music, that is very important. It might take years and years for you to understand what it is. If you want to understand what the Madhyama of the Raga Varali is, you might have to go into that for years and years and years. There's a story about the great musician, great classical musician, Arikudi Ramanujayengar. He used to practice the Kriti Sheshachala Nayakam in Raga Varali every day. And this was going on for about 1.5 years. And one of his friends staying nearby, he would wake up in the morning hearing Sheshachala Nayakam. So after about 1.5 years, this friend of Arikudi asked him, "Sir, why are you going on singing Sheshachala Nayakam every day, every morning?" Then Arikudi was telling the friend that yet I haven't known this raga. I'm trying to, but still it is not coming to me. I am asking for the blessings of God for the raga to come to me. That is why I'm singing Sheshachala Nayakam through the days like this, through the months, through the years like that. And that is devotion. And that is dedication. And that is patience. Is it not? So even Yesudas sir was telling me that he was practicing Sri Subramanyaya Namaste in Raga Kamboji, composed by Muthuswami Dikshidhar, for around 1.5 years for a concert. And then only he got the confidence to present that Kriti in the concert. So I always found Yeshudas sir to be a personification of dedication, devotion. And that is his greatness.
It also requires a lot of sacrifice, I think, along the way. The sacrifice of your own wants, that especially talking about the context which I was saying, the youngsters, the younger generation, sacrifice, I want this, I want that, move all of that and just focus on dedication, devotion, dedication.
It is about focusing.
Right. Nowadays, a lot of young musicians are also taking the direction of a career in therapy also. That music is being used, even I got exposed to it just a year ago, music therapy, using it to heal people. Heal people for concentration or helping people come out of past traumas. Have you come across any such experiences or stories?
Yeah. One of my songs, Kate Kate, for the film Celluloid, I had an experience with that song in this way, in this regard. That I got a call from a brother who said his amma was in the ICU and her pressure was going up, raising up like anything. And the doctor asked him to play her favorite song, and it happened to be Kate Kate. And this Kate Kate song was going on in a loop from morning to evening. And by evening or by the night, she was okay. She was completely okay. And her pressure came back to normal. And he was actually crying to me, saying that that song of mine helped his mother to come back to life. That is a great experience in life. So music has other realms that we don't know. Music is mysterious. It can take you to some different frontiers which you have not excavated or you're not even thought of. So the mystery remains. You don't know how it is and what it is, but it is there for certain. So when you have these permutations and combinations, if I take sa, re, ga, ma like that, sa, re, ga, ma, this gives a different emotion. Sa, re, ga, ma, that's a different emotion. Ma, sa, re, ga is a different emotion. Ga, sa, re, ma, ga, sa, re, ma, ga, sa, re, ma, re, ma, ga, sa, da, ba, da, sa is a different emotion. Da, ba, da, ri, da, ba, da, ga, da, ba, da, ma, ma, ri, ga, sa, ri, da, sa, ba, da, sa, ri, sa, ri, ga, ma, ga, ri, sa, ni, da. Each phrase gives a different emotion. And music is very individualistic. The taste can be different. So you might like the same notes. If I repeat like ta ta pa 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 pa, you might like it more than me singing sa sa re re ma ga ne da. You might like it more. So it is about taste. So therapy can be done, but it is very important to have a taste for music. If you have taste for music, then therapy happens. If it is not that much. That is what I found out.
The concept of bhava, right? When I actually got to know about this through my name, Bhava Raga Tala. Bhava, there are thousands of bhavas, right? Thousands, lakhs. Bhavangal, etra bhavangalundu. And in our tradition, all of these bhavas are associated to time also. And you've tied them to time and then to a particular raga. If I'm not wrong, I don't know. But emotion is fixed. Like when we see emojis or emotions, right? The English interpretation of that, these are very fixed. But bhavas are infinite. So do you also, in the process, do you see there's a difference between emotion And can we ever completely define what a bhava is?
Bhava cannot be defined so easily.
Hmm.
Bhava is something which we have to experience. The bhava that you are experiencing might not be the bhava that I experience when I hear a sort of music. In this regard, I think one of the greatest compositions that I've heard in my life is Beethoven's 7th Symphony, the second movement, which is called Allegretto. Not called Allegretto, which is in Allegretto tempo. The tempo is Allegretto at a moderate pace. That is the meaning of Allegretto. There we can see contrasting musical ideas coexisting. My God, that is an experience. I don't know whether you have heard this.
Right. I was researching and I saw that your favorite is Beethoven's 7th
Symphony.
Yes.
Second movement.
Right.
One of the greatest pieces I've ever heard.
Mm.
And that is like a funeral march. The theme is like a funeral march, where several processions come together to have that final procession, like that. So that music, how it is created, is mind-blowing. I don't know if Beethoven was God himself or a man. I thought only God can compose like this. I felt the same with John Williams and his background scores for films. So in this way, in whichever way you can actually take your music to newer frontiers of musical existence, that is where you will mark yourself. You'll mark yourself as a musician, even beyond yourself, even beyond your time, even though really time doesn't exist. I can say now, after my time, if somebody says, that song composed by Jayachandran is very nice, that is where I would stay.
I was stuck at time doesn't exist.
I have this belief about Aristotle's paradox of time. That means whatever we had in the past, that doesn't exist now. So that is non-existent. And whatever is going into the future, that might happen. We don't know. And that is also non-existent at this point of time. And we only have this thin line called the present between two things. Those are non-existent. Even this present is nothing, because it happens between two non-existent things, and present also doesn't exist because each moment goes off into the past, or what we say into the future, both non-existent. So present also doesn't exist. That is what Aristotle, that is my belief of what the spiritual backing of Aristotle's thought. So time is actually non-existent, but we can calculate in terms of minutes, hours, and days, and nights, and months, and years like that.
So actually, I have also come across a close concept to that Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh exist in this second. That this second is being created.
Yeah, that is what everybody says.
Yeah.
Live in the present means that.
Right, living in the present. Yeah.
So this present is a present talking to you.
Also, time really cannot be measured, right? It's like it's between existent and non-existent. Like somebody asked me this, that it's a really cool concept I came across, that if we take right now this space and that wall and the total distance between these, every day we think, yeah, there's a finite distance here from here to there. But somebody came up with this theory that only add one rule, that when you walk halfway, stop, and then walk again. Theoretically, if we go like this, go halfway, stop, walk again, halfway, stop, walk again, you will go infinity and we will never reach that wall. showing that there is infinity between in this space, between that wall and here. So this actually leads to a very beautiful question also. If there is infinity between just space, and we don't perceive space actually, we cannot perceive space through the five senses, but it still exists. It doesn't exist. Same goes for time. You just said time doesn't exist, and through that same theory, infinity in notes, infinity between sound, notations. Have you come across in this journey some magical, some really mysterious things where you were mind blown? You were like, wow, how does that happen?
From whatever we are discussing, I now find that music is a walk from the finite to the infinite.
Right, yeah, right.
Journey, yeah. So several times when I heard Paramurli sir, one instance was when I heard Balamurli sir singing Vagadishwari, the Raga Vagadishwari and the Kriti Paramatmudu Velige. So I had learned this about 10 years back. I learned this. 10 years from the time I was actually hearing this concert, I had learned this Kriti and the Raga, but I didn't know how the Raga goes. I didn't get an idea of what the Raga is all about. But that day, when Balamurli sang it out for about 20 or 25 minutes, the Raga, its exposition in detail, in all its beauty, and he was actually demonstrating how the notes could be, arranged in this fashion, and the permutations and the combinations and all. That was a big lightening up of my musicianship. And from that day I could sing Vagadishwari. And then I understood, or Vagadishwari came to me, I would say. The Raga came to me. The very definition of Raga is Ranjayati iti Ragaha. That means which colors is a Raga. Which colors your emotions. That is a Raga. So the color of Vagadishwari came to me. It colored my emotions. And I was able to sing and color others' emotions through that Raga. I was able to color the emotions of others through that Raga. From the time I heard Balamurli sir singing Vagadishwari.
So it's also the transmitting of the
it is
what
about
you feel,
connectivity.
connecting. Yeah.
So a performance can actually inspire you. A note can inspire you. From the micro to the macro, whatever, it can transform you. It can inspire and transform you. And that transformation has to happen to a musician for him to call himself a musician.
That's why the Guru's blessing.
Yeah.
And that happens being to being.
Yes.
This brings me to, I think, a question which is there on the mind of every other musician, pretty sure, in India right now. I can pretty sure say this. Which is when a person starts out, they feel like most doors are closed. It's a feeling that most musicians have. And it's a feeling of frustration in the beginning because there is, and I know many of my friends who are going through this, because a lot of doors are closed to them and they don't know what to do in terms of teacher, in terms of guru, in terms of person, in terms of opportunity in India right now. So how do you think we can make, probably theoretically speaking, if we were purely theoretical, in terms of government support or in terms of, I'm saying purely, like a purely theoretical point of view, how can we bring a change where we can have more homegrown musicians, more doors opening, or what should that musician do? What should that kid do who's really has dreamy eyes?
Now we have an open ground where anybody, any talented person can bring his talent and showcase it in platforms,
Right.
social media platforms and otherwise. So this is a very beautiful change that has come up with globalization. I love it. Each day I'm getting to hear so many voices, so many talented composers, so many great musicians coming up with their newer compositions, which I thought were unprecedented. And that gives me joy. And certainly, with this open ground, with this openness, I think a new world is going to be created where anybody can come up with their talent, their creation, anything, and that will be accepted. Without doubt, that is going to be accepted. And youngsters in film music, I'm very proud to say that the newer film composers who are coming in into Malayalam films especially, they are really, really, really talented and amazing. And the future seems very bright, very bright. And I am very happy to see these new musicians coming up. And even that is a learning curve for me. I do learn a lot of things from them.
So this has been such a great learning experience for me. Just your being, the passion in your voice, the stars in your eyes when you talk about ragas, and the knowledge that I've had. I'm really overwhelmed, sir.
Thank you, Bharat. As I said, knowledge is experience.
Right.
Anything else is only information.
Right. I think now I understand it, because when you said it in the beginning, I was thinking in terms of text. But when you said the last example, that's when I really understood that you're saying a different kind of knowledge. You're talking about the transmission from the Guru, that bhava. Because I've had this experience with a spiritual Guru, where there was somebody who was singing in front of a temple really, really, really devotedly. And I felt something that time, and I brought that back home. And every time I would think of him, I would feel that bhava. So I think that's along the lines of what you were saying, that transmission that happens from the Guru.
Transmission and transformation has to happen.
Transmission, transformation.
Then you find yourself.
Right.
And then you find music in yourself, and you become one with music.
Yeah.
The composer and the music are the same.
Yeah.
Not two distinct entities. They are just one.
Yeah.
So that is when you can call yourself a musician.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. It's been such a great pleasure to have this conversation. I really was looking forward to having a rich conversation, but now I'm so rich, I don't know what to do with it. Right? I would have to go back, view the entire podcast, take my notepad, because I'm a music enthusiast. I really enjoy also, in my own personal space, creating music or writing a little bit. So I would be like taking a notepad and like writing down notes after going back home. Thank you, sir.
It is great that we didn't fly on the wheels of superficiality.
Yeah.
And, we came to music, and only music remains. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.